Kadosh, good evening. We're continuing on Daf Yomi. This is Daf Tzadik Daled Amud Aleph 94A1. So this is Daf Tzadik Daled where it says Tanu Rabbanan. We're a few lines down. Okay? And this is 5 lines down. Tanu Rabbanan. We learned in a Braita. Haya omed chutz lamodiim. Imagine a person is standing outside of Modi'im. Right? This is again during the afternoon on the 14th of Nisan. And he could come into the Azara during, right, whether it is with Susim or Pradin. So he could come inside. I would think that he's going to be Chayav Karet if he annuls and does not bring the Korban Pesach. Tamulomar comes to teach you, Uvderech lo haya. What does it mean, Uvderech lo haya? So it says over there, it's only mashma that somebody that was not in a faraway place, he gets Karet. Vehala, and this person, Haya b'derech, he wasn't a derech rechoka, he was far away, right? And therefore he's going to be patur from karet. But mitzad sheni, on the other hand, haya omer lifni min hamodim, if he was from the inside of the modim, ve'en yachol likanes, but he can't come in mipnei gemalim ukronom ekavot lo, because there are camels or things which are stopping him, impeding him from coming inside. Yachol lo yeh chayav, I would think that he's not going to be chayav karet. Tamulomar uvderech lo haya, vare lo haya b'derech. Only he doesn't get karet if he was on the path. Here he wasn't on the path. He was close by. So the fact that he was close by, it does not help. Okay? Amar Rava. Rava says, Shita alfe parse have alma. The malach of the chama of the sun, when it's going to go inside of the halal, when it's going around the world from east to west, is 6,000 parsaot. So it means the trajectory of the sun, 6,000 parsaot. Okay, v'sumcha the rakia alpha parse. Now the thickness of the rakia of the firmament, when the sun is going through it after the shkia, is 1,000 parsaot. Okay, which means that it says over here in the footnote, Rashi says that the sun is moving 6,000 parsaot from the netzach hama, right, until the shkia, and then it says it's going to be 1,000 parsa. Okay. So now it says over here, so it's 6,000 parsaot, but Midos Manenu is 23,000 kilometers. Yeah, or 27,000 kilometers. But remember that every single parsa is 4 mil, and every mil was around a kilometer. So if you have 6,000 parsaot, 6,000 times 4 is 24. So we said 23,000, 40 or 27,000. As I told you, that according to the Grachna, it's just below a kilometer, and according to the Chazon Ish, it's just above a kilometer. Okay, so but if you do that 6,000, basically so many times, so obviously you're going to get the differences. Okay, fine. Chada Gemara, v'chada Sevara. One of these midot, one of these of the measurements, right, which basically means that the shemesh is going 6,000 parsaot. Rava accepted as a mesoret, as a tradition from his rabbi, and one of them, which is the one of that it's going 1,000 parsaot, which means the Galgal Rakia is 1,000 parsaot, that's Rava learning it from a svara. Why? Because it says here like this, he holds that which Rabbi Yochanan said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Kama mahalach adam benoni bayom. So if you remember, we were talking about, second. What did you say? One more time? The circumference of the earth is? Wow, you see? So the Gemara is saying that it's either 23,040 kilometers or 27,648, and he's saying that nowadays they say that it's 40,000. Yeah, it's not that far off. Okay, very good. That's circumference. Okay? 1 second, but you also have the thickness of the rakia, which is another 1,000 parsaot. 1,000 parsaot is going to be another, again, every parsa is 4 mil, so it's 4,000 mil, so it's going to be another around 4,000 kilometers. So that means it's going to be 23,000. What? Well, a little bit less than 4,000 according to the Grachai, and a little bit more according to Chazon Ish. What we're talking about, that means it's going to be like 27, 28 or 33, 34. So that's coming even much closer also again. Okay? One more time, 1 second. So now the Gemara says, Chada Gemara v'chada Svara. One of these measurements, he learned it as a Gemara, as a tradition from his rabbis, and one he learned it as a Svara, as a logic. So now he says like this, he holds it, Kama mahalach adam benoni bayom. How much is an adam benoni bayom? He says, eser parsaot. Right? Adam benoni bayom, eser parsaot. How much is that? 40 mil. Remember, every parsa is 4 mil. every mil is a kilometer. So if I tell you 10 parsaot, it means 40 mil, which is around 40 kilometers, right? Me'alot hashachar ve'ad hanetzach hama. From the alot hashachar until the netzach hama, 5 mil. You could go 5 mil. From shkiat hachama until tzedek hachama, 5 milin. You could do 5 from the dawn until netz, and 5 from the shekia until tzedek kochavim. So that's going to be 5 and 5. Okay. So therefore, he says, so it comes out that there's only 30 milin which are left from the nets until shekia. Okay. So now what happens is like this. So now he comes and he says like this: from the time of the shekia until tzedek kochavim is a shiur of 5 milin. So therefore, it's going to be 1 to 6. Okay, 1 to 6 of the entire day. Okay, 1/6. Nimtza ovyo shel rakia. So it comes out that the ovi, the thickness of the rakia, is echad mishisha bayom, is 1/6 of the entire day, right? Which means, one more time, everyone, one more time, yeah, one more time. When we're talking about that the world, the sun is going in the world 6,000 parsaot, right, from east to west, yeah, 6,000 parsaot. Then we said that there's a thickness, right? That means after it already sets, after the shkia, it goes through another 1,000 amot of ovi, of thickness, okay, after the shkia. So now we're going to say, what do we say over there? That thickness is 1,000. Now that 1,000, he didn't have a tradition from his rabbi, right? The 6,000, he had a tradition from his rabbi. The 1,000 was svara. So how do you have the svara? He says a very, very simple svara. You know what the svara is? Let's do the mathematics. We already learned this morning. That we said this morning that a person could walk 40 mil in a day, and it's 5 mil from the dawn until netzach hama, and the same 5 mil from shekia until tzedek kochavim. Now remember, which one? Yeah. Okay, obviously we're talking about a person that's walking the entire time. Yeah. So now what happens, right? What happens is that, remember that in the olden days they would walk a lot. You know, so it's not like nowadays that we're so lazy that you have to start counting your steps and they tell you to do, right? Yeah, exactly. They didn't have cars, they didn't have anything, so therefore they didn't do it. But by the way, you should know it's very, very healthy. Nowadays there's even apps. They invented apps to count your footsteps, right? Why? Because it's a minimum that a person should walk minimum of 2,000 steps a day to be healthy. But 2,000 steps is nothing. You know, it's completely nothing. But that's what it was. Right? The truth is, that's why I mentioned this morning. So I asked my daughters again, right? How much did you walk? So they walked this morning 11 miles this morning, right? The Bet Yaakov, the Beis Yaakov girls, they walked 11 miles. We were thinking about it this morning. Wow. We were talking about, they walked from North Miami Beach. They went all the way down 163rd to Collins, all the way down past Surfside to Miami Beach. So they went from North Miami Beach to Miami Beach. It took them 5 hours. But they weren't running. They weren't running at all. They were slow. You understand? They were slow. So 5 hours, they did 11 miles. And remember, a mile is more than a kilometer. How much is that in kilometers? 1.6? Yeah, 1.6. Yeah. Okay. So you do 11 times 1.6. So how much is that in kilometers? 11 times 1.6. That's 17.5, 7.6 kilometers. So what? No. The Gemara says that it's going to be 30. 30. No, one more time. The Gemara says 30 kilometers throughout the entire day. That's from the morning, right, until Shekia. What? They went 5 hours. Okay, so if they do another 5 hours, that's 10 hours. That's almost a day. What do you want? That's almost a day. And then that would be 33. We're talking about 30. Oh, okay. So if they went a little bit quick or whatever, but I'm saying, but it's Malach Benoni. Right? We're not talking about that they're going quick so it's normal. That's exactly what the Gemara says. But now, what was so important about this? If you remember this morning, we said this is how we calculate the time of the dawn, right? Of how much is dawn before the nets. Nets, nobody could argue. Why can nets nobody argue? Right? But the nets is the sun. You look outside and you look at the sun. Obviously within the minute or two, right? And that's why we're not makpid on the minute or two, as the Kavach Chaim says and everything, because it didn't exist. You know, there's this entire new thing of you have to be on the second. Right? In the olden days, they didn't have, Moshe Rabbeinu, he knew. But other than that, I'm saying after that, they didn't have, so they didn't have a clock and then the Big Ben and all these things of exactly the second. They did more or less. And especially when they lived in the mountains or in plains or things like that, you think they knew exact moment? They didn't know at all the exact moment. Within the minute or whatever it is, they knew within the minute, 2 minutes, that was in Dindumechama. Says the Kavachayim, when it says you have to pray, Dimdume Chama means not exactly when the Chama comes out, Dimdume, when it already is starting to come out, because there's also a big machlok. What is it, Netzach Chama? When the beginning of the ball comes out, when the beginning of the horizon of the sun comes out, or is it when it completely comes out, the entire thing comes out? It's a big machlok. Because of that, there are some shitot that say that you're not supposed to actually do the Amidah by the beginning. You have to do Kriyat Shema before that. And then what happens is you have to wait 2 minutes and 30 seconds, because it takes 2 minutes and 30 seconds for the entire ball, the entire sphere of the sun to come up above. And that's what's important. So you're on time. You're on time. No problem. Yeah, you're on time. I always do that. And then I try to do it just to keep them happy, so I do the exact moment. You understand? But technically speaking, and on Shabbat, I'm the happiest. Why? Because you don't feel once somebody told me that. Somebody told me, Rabbi, do you really think that it had to be exactly meticulous? And you know who says that you saw? It's a Chazon Ish. Because the Chazon Ish says you are supposed to make your tfilatecha tachanunim ve'al ta'aseh tfilatecha keva. Don't make it fixed. Make it mercy. If you're going to make it so fixed, he says, imagine you have to pay so much attention in every single second. You have 4.5 minutes, this, 3 minutes. You're doing it like the next, 100%. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu was not on the 30 seconds there, 40 seconds before. Yeah. So the Chazon Ish always used to do even before. Yeah, even before or after, doesn't matter. As long as within the 2-3 minutes, 4 minutes, no problem. That was Shitat Chazon Ish. We try to do that Shita but lechumna, which means before, no. Because if you're before, it's already b'diavad. If it's afterwards, it's not b'diavad, right? Maybe you just don't have something yuchad. So therefore, we try to do it afterwards and not before. Because if you're doing 2 minutes before, you could do also half of an hour before. It's the exact same. There's no difference, right? But when the second you're before, there's no difference. Okay. So we say over here. Now, what happens is like this. So now, what was a svara? One more time. What was a svara? Very simple. The svara is that how much are you walking from the dawn until netz? How many mil? 5. How much are you doing from the Shikiyah until Tzetek Kochavim? From sunset until nightfall. How much are you walking? 5. How much are you walking during the day? 30. From 5 to 30, what ratio is that? 1/6. Very good. 1 to 6. 5 into 30 is 6 times. So it's 1/6. So he says because of that, if the sun is traveling 6,000 parsaot during the day, and then you just told me that afterwards from the Shkia, it's going to travel another amount. How much is it going to travel? If I just told you that you're doing 5 opposite to ratio 30, it's 1/6. So therefore, if the sun travels 6,000, it's going to travel 1,000 during this time. You see, the Gemara does that. The Gemara is doing, this is Rava coming and doing this equation, that now they do this in algebra and all these things. He's coming and he's doing this equation. You have X. I want to find out what is X. Find out through this. Svara, logic. That's what he says. So now we're going to ask the question. 1 second. Rabbi Yehuda says, Ovyo shel rakia, echa ma'asara bayom. The thickness of the rakia of the firmament is 1/10 of the day. So now it's not 1/6. Here the question is, it's 1/10. So therefore, it's not going to be 1,000. It's going to be how much?
110. No, 110. So
it's not going to be 1,000. It's going to be 300. No?
10%.
10% of 30 of 30 mil. So it's 3 mil. No, sorry.
0.3.
Sorry. One more time. It's the 1/10 of the malach of the shemesh of the yom. The malach of the shemesh was 6,000 parsaot. So 1/10 would be 600 parsaot. Sorry, 600 parsaot. Right, I was doing of the 30 parsaot, 30 of the what you're doing. Right, no. We're talking about the malach of the shemesh. Malach of the shemesh is 6,000. So 10% of that is going to be 600. We just said it was going to be how much? 1,000. So there's a difference. So that's what the Gemara is asking, right? Teida why? Kama malach adam enoni bayom ese parsaot. Umealot hashachar ad netzach hama. How much is there from alot hashachar until netzach hama? 4 mil. Umishkiat hachama ve'atzet kochavim 4 mil. So the Shita of Rabbi Yehuda is arguing on what we just mentioned, and he says that we're not doing 5 mil, we're doing 4 mil. Okay? Nimtzet shavyo shel harakia is echad ma'asara bayom. So now, if you're only doing 4 mil, so now if you're doing 4 into 30, right? How much is that into the it's not only 4 into the 30, because here he's saying that it's actually going to be you're only doing 8, and you're doing 4 into 32 into 30. How are you doing this again? Yeah, 4 into 32. 4 into 32. 4 into 32. Yeah. So therefore, according to this, right, what's coming out, right? This is the new calculation that we're just having right now. That according to this, if it's going to be 4 into 32, so how much is that going to be? That's going to be 4 into 32 is like 1/8. So it's not going to be 1/6, it's going to be 1/8. So it's incorrect what you just said. And 600, right, into 32 is 1/8. Right? 600 into 32 is 1/8. So says the Gemara, you're right. Tiyufta de Rava, v'tiyufta de Ula, v'tiyufta. You're right. This is a tshuva nitzachat against Rava, that he said that it was going to be, right, the 30 milim. And it's a tiyufta against Ula also. Tiyufta, so basically you're right. This is against them. And by the way, you should know, this is how we paskin. We paskin, right, that there's 4 milim between the dawn and nets. And that's why I showed you this morning, if every single meal is how much? How much is a meal?
1 kilowatt.
But how much in time, in time frame? No. That's a parsa.
90.
Parsa. How much is a meal?
Divided 72 with
18 minutes. So if you remember, we mentioned this morning, if you would right now have 18 minutes for every single meal, so 18 times 4 is 72. So that's why Shitat Maran, that dawn is 72 minutes before the Netzach Hama. Because as I already told you, Netzach Hama, there's no machloka when it is. The dawn, there's a machloka when it is. So therefore, it's going to be 72 minutes before. If you hold that every meal is 22.5 minutes, which he does bring down the shita in the footnote over here. If you hold that it's going to be 22.5 minutes, so then it's going to come out that it's going to be 90 minutes before. So if it's going to be 90 minutes before, that's the shita of some of the shitot that it's going to be, whether it's Magen Avraham and others, that it's 90 minutes before the nets is going to be Amud HaShachar. Then you have also, right, the 24-minute one, right, which is also going to be a very big one also as well, because then you're going to even have more than that. Okay, 24 minutes. Okay, now there's another shita though as well. If you do the 5 meal, right, and you do the 18 minutes, so then you're going to have 90 minutes as well. Okay, so that's going to be 18 times 5 instead of 1874. So that's also going to be. So basically, if somebody's going to ask you, where does the 72 minutes come from before nets, you're going to tell them. Why? The Gemara already says that a person walks from the time of dawn till the nets. A person walks 4 meal, and every single meal is 18 minutes. So therefore, 18 times 4 is 72. 72 minutes, that's what it is. There's some shito that say 90. Yeah, there's 2 ways to get to it. Either that every single meal is 22.5 minutes, and there's 4 meals, so 4 times 22.5 is 90 minutes. Or, right, like the shito, that it's 5 meal, and there's 5 meal, that was the previous shita that we said, 5 meal from the dawn until the Netzach Hama, and if it's going to be from dawn until Netzach Hama, 5 meal times 18 is 90 minutes as well. So those are the different shitot, right? But you have all the different shitot, okay? Very, very important. Now, by the way, now you understand also why Maran says the logic of Rabbeinu Tam. What's the logic of Rabbeinu Tam?
That's enough to learn it at the Yud.
100%. That's what we're doing, right? What happened, right? The Rabbeinu Tam says that 72 minutes after, right, Shekiah is nightfall. Where does he get 72 minutes from? So the answer is very, very simple. Just like Maran learned 72 minutes, yeah, just like Maran learned 72 minutes from the dawn until nets, so to the 72 minutes from the Shkia until Tzedek Kochavim. Okay, makes sense? Very good.
We don't pass people like that. Yeah, that's my question.
So we don't pass in the what? 72 minutes? Well, Maran does. Maran is posek 72 minutes, right, for the Tzedek Kochavim. The only thing is, there was a minhag of the Geonim, that everyone had the minhag of the Geonim, but for example, in a lot of Doraitas, machmirim. Tzedek Shabbat, a lot of people machmirim, Rabbeinu Tam, right? Tzedek Kippur, a lot of people machmirim, Rabbeinu Tam. But anything which is D'Rabbanan, they're more lenient. So if they're more lenient by D'Rabbanans, So, for example, by whether it's talking about the tzomot or whether it's talking about all these other things, usually they're much more lenient. You understand? Lema tiya v'tiyufta de Rabbi Yochanan. So ask the Gemara, why don't we also say this is going to be a tiyufta against Rabbi Yochanan? Amalecha says Rabbi Yochanan, I could answer you, Anabi mama hu de'amre. When I told you that Ma'alach Adam Benoni was 40 milin, that was from Alot HaShachar until Tzet HaKochavim. The Rabbananu de Katau, and the rabbis were the ones that made the mistake, which is Rava and Ula, that they went and they started saying about before the Netz and after the Shkia. Why? The Kachashvan, the Karma, the Chashocha, because they were taking the Cheshbon, the milim that they were doing from beforehand and from afterwards. And that's why they took such a long time, which means that according to Rabbi Yochanan, right, at the beginning, we thought that a person does 40 milim from Alot HaShachar until Tzet HaKochavim. And that was the original thing that we thought about now, okay? But now he's coming and he's now saying that it's not actually true. They made a mistake, but they didn't calculate the actual calculations properly. So therefore, he's saying that you're actually adding even more, because now he's saying the majority of the people are doing 42 mil or 40 mil is from Alot HaShachar until Tzet HaKochavim. So L'ma'aseh, Adam Benoni, he's going 40 mil from Alot HaShachar until Netzach Hama, 32 mil from Netzach Hama until the Shkia, okay? And then he says, and 4 mil from the Shkia. So therefore, according to Rabbi Yochanan, it's not a stira. Meaning, according to Ula and the other one, it was a question. But according to Rabbi Yochanan, there was no stira. The rabbis made the mistake, not me. So Lema tiyavet yufta de Rabbi Chanina. Why don't we say it's also a question against Rabbi Chanina? Because Rabbi Chanina said that I saw the distance from Sedom until Tzoara, and that was the distance. So that's how we learned about the 5 mil. And he said it's 5 mil, and we just said now it's 4 mil. So answers the Gemara, no. Vaya'itzu shane. There in the pasuk says Vaya'itzu malachim belot, which means that he was going very, very quickly. So since he was going very, very quickly, it could be that he did 5 mil, even though it was really only a ma'alach of 4 mil. Meaning that he went 5 mil, even though usually a person only goes 4 mil. But he went flying, he went running. He was running for his life. So obviously he went quicker. Okay? Says the Gemara, Tashema, we also learned in a Braita, right? Mitzrayim hi 400 parsa al 400 parsa. Mitzrayim, the land of Egypt, is 400 parsaot on 400 parsaot. Okay? So it says over here, which means 400 parsaot times 400 parsaot is 160,000 parsaot. So it comes out that it is 9,600,000 parsaot merubaot. Okay? Yeah, 100%. Right? The Kush, echad mishishim ba'olam. Now, right? Kush is 1/60th of the world. Right? Kush, they translate as Nigeria. They just translate it as Kush. India. No? Okay. No? Yeah, Melech Kush. He was a king of Kush. Ve'olam echad mishishim. Yeah. It says here, Ve'olam echad mishishim bagan. Now we know the world is 1/60th of the Gan Eden. And the Gan is 1/60th of Eden. Right? Because the garden is inside Eden. Gan be'Eden. Which means that the Gan is a 60th of Eden. Ve'Eden is 1/60th of Geinam. It comes out that the entire world is like a little tiny pot to the yachas of Geinam, because Geinam is so big, right? Right? I always have one of my rabbanim always used to say, "What? But everyone does that." So he always used to tell us, "Yeah, Geinam is a very big place." And then the answer, "Yeah, but everyone does it." Yeah, Geinam is also look. Geinam is look how much bigger it is Geinam from the rest of the world.
What about Gan Eden?
Bigger than the Gan Eden. That's what he says. It says one more time. Gan Eden, one second. The Gan in Eden is 1/60th. And Eden is 1/60th of Geinam. You know what that means? That means Geinam is 60 times bigger than Eden. Eden is 60 times bigger than Gan Eden. Gan Eden is 60 times bigger than the world. So imagine what Geinam is.
Yeah, but these are very figurative.
Okay, but even if it's going to be figurative, but at the end of the day, we're talking, even if we're not talking about real proportions of what we understand, but the real, meaning even if you're going to tell me that it's not even, let's say it's not 60, even if it's going to be 30, whatever that you want. But look at the size differences. You understand? Meaning proportions. Yeah. Let's see. So fine. Fine. Okay, 1 minute, 1 minute. So he says here, Tiyufta, you're right. This is Be'emet a question against Rava. Okay, it's a question against Rava. Okay, because Rava said that it's going for 6,000 parsaot. He says, how could that be? 6,000 parsaot. He says, if it's going to be 400 times 400 parsaot only Mitzrayim, so then obviously there's much more. You understand? Because 400 times 400, right? That's what he's saying over here. The 400 times 400 is 160,000 parsaot square, right? So it's not 6,000 parsaot. So Tashima. So now we're going to bring another proof. The Tanat Eliyahu. Remember in the book of Tanat Eliyahu, Rabbi Natan says, Kol Yishuv Kolo, the entire world is Tachat Kochav Echad Yoshev, is under one star. Yeah, what does that mean under one star? Which means is one star. One star could be the circumference of the entire world. Yeah, one star. That's all you need. Okay, so now he says here, right? Teida, Shari Adam noten eno bekochav echad, veolech lemizrach omed kenigdo, right? Arba ruchot haolam kenigdo. Because why? You could be on one side, you start looking at a star. Travel as much as you want, you could look up and you'll still see the same star, right? Right? So that's what he's saying. But he's saying because at the end of the day, it's as big as the entire thing, right? Again, one more time. We thought that the stars are very, very small, but the rabbis knew how big the stars were. So for the rabbis are telling you, this is actually a proof that it's not because Stam is just in the Rakia. The proof is you can move all throughout the entire Rakia and you're still going to see it. So therefore, you see that the entire Rakia is nothing towards that star. That star is bigger than the entire world in itself. So he says, so it comes out there's a stira against Rava. The Rava came and he said that the entire world, right, was only 6,000 parsaot. So he says again, tiyufta. It's a contradiction, right? It's against Rava. Tashima, another one. Egla batzafon ve'akrav b'darom. Right, the mazal of the shore, the egel, the calf, right, or the ox, is in the north. The akrav, the mazal of the scorpion, is in the south, right? So the egla, the shore, is in the north, and the scorpion is in the south. So the entire world is in between both. And the entire thing is only going to be 1 hour in the day. Because it only goes into the world for 1 hour, right? What does that mean? It only goes in a straight path for 1 hour. Teida. How do we know that it's only in the Yishuv for 1 hour? Because in the 5th hour, it's still in the east. In the 7th hour, it's already in the west. So in the middle of that hour, that's when it's going to be Omed B'Rosh Kol Ha'adam. So it comes out that since it's coming out, that you could see it in the Yishuv, the sun in itself is only on top of the Yishuv only for 1 hour of the day. All right, in midday, that's when it is. It's on the top of the world. But other than that, right, it's even, so again, Tufta, again, this is going to be another Tufta against Rava. Tashima, 4th question against Rava. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, says Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Ma tshuva yeshivato bat kol leoto rasha. What was the answer, right, that they answered this rasha? There, Nebuchadnezzar rasha, he was answered, B'shah shamar elal bamoti av damel elyon. I'm going to go on top of the clouds that I'm going to compare to Hashem. Yatza b'kov amra lo rasha ben rasha. You are a wicked person, the son of the wicked person. Ben Beno, the son of Nimrod Rasha. Nimrod, sheimri v'kol ha'olam kulo alai b'malchuto. They went against my entire world against me. Kama shinotav shel adam, how much does a person live? 70 shana, v'im bigvurot shemonim shana, 70 years, or sometimes 80 years. As it says, Yem Hashem temem 70 shana, v'im bigvurot shemonim shana. Mina aretz larakia, how long does it take from the land until the firmament? Malach 500 shana, 500 years. V'ovyo shel rakia, and the thickness of one firmament is 500 years, and between each rakia and rakia, it's another 500 years. V'chem ben kol rakia v'rakia, and every single one does that. So, so how are you going to do that? Because basically like this, if right now from here to the Shemaim is 500 years, the thickness of the first firmament is 500 years. In between that firmament and the next firmament is 500 years. And every single rakia is 500 years. So therefore it's going to come out that, how does that work? Why? Because it's going to come out that it's going to take 500 years in order to do that, right? Because if a person walks 10 pasaot a day, so he could walk 1,825,000 pasaot, right? Yeah, according to what we just said, because if he's doing 365. So 365 days in a year times 10 pasaot. Make sense or not? You guys are with me or not? Oh. Okay. Okay, we're gonna have to see how is this coming out. He's saying over here the maskana comes out from the Gemara. The rochav haolam is 1,825,000 parsaot. Huh? That's a huge amount. Yeah. How did we get that? Because he said it's 365 days a year, and if every single day you could walk 10 parsaot, so therefore it's 3,650. Correct? 3,650 parsaot. So if a person does 3,650 parsaot in 1 year, so then how many years would it take for him to get to the firmament? To get to the rakia, to get up there? It would take a minimum of, yeah? We're talking about mamash a long time, okay? So says the Gemara again, Tufta. This is again a question against Rava as well, okay? Fine. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned also in the Braita. Chachmei Yisrael omrim. Yeah, okay. Chachmei Yisrael say, Galgal kavua b'mazalot v'chozrin v'chachmei amot olam omrim, Galgal chozer mazalot kavuim. So there's a machloke between the Chachmei Yisrael and Chachmei amot olam. Chachmei Yisrael say that the Galgal, the mazalot, are fixed, right, in the rakia. Mazalot, right, and the mazalot, they move a little bit, right, from their place in the Galgal. V'chozrin, and then they go back to its normal place. Chachmei amot olam omrim, no. They say the Galgal mazalot chozer umazalot kvumim, which means basically like this. What exactly is going around? Do you say that the mazalot are the ones that are going around, or do you say that the world is going around? Right?
You're recording.
So he says over here that basically the machloke between the Chachmei Yisrael and the thing is do you say that the mazalot are going around? You have the picture there. Everyone look in the art scroll on the bottom there. You have the two different shitot. One shita means is that the actual mazalot are going around. Right? That's the second picture over there. Or the first one, that it's going around in itself, which means, do you say that the galgal is kavua? Do you say that the galgal is fixed? Right? That means the circle is fixed. And only the mazalot themselves, they go and they turn around, they go around. Or do you say that the galgal itself is turning around? And the mazalot are fixed. Right? So that's a machloke between Chachmei Yisrael and Chachmei Amot Olam. So Amar Rebbe says, Shuva ledivrehem, when we want to come and we want to answer very simply, you could answer the Chumat Olam says that the Galgal is Choser and the Mazalot are fixed, right? So he says, how do we answer them? Me'olam lo matzinu egla badarom ve'akra b'tzafon. According to you, if you're going to tell me that the Galgal is Choser, right? So how could it be the Galgal is Choser? At the end of the day, we never found the Mazal of the shore in the south and the Akrav in the Tzafon. It never happened, and according to them, it should happen. So obviously, it's not like the Chochmei Amot Olam; it's like the Chochmei Yisrael. So Matkif la Rav Acha bar Yaakov comes and he asks, the Dilma Kibutzina derechaya. He says maybe it's like the tzira of the Rechaim. The Rechaim is a mill, right? It in itself starts spinning, right? And the even, the stone, is fixed, meaning everything is turning, but the stone is fixed and everything is going around. So if you're going to tell me that Nigalgel et ha'even ha'shochev v'yeh ketzir, so therefore, or like Tzinor Dasha, or like a door. When you have the door, what happens? The door is what's opening and closing, but the actual part is fixed. Everything else is opening and closing. So he says maybe it's going to be the same thing. So says the Gemara, Chachmei Yisrael omrim bayom chama ma'alecha lemata min harkiya uvalayla lemana min harkiya. According to Chachmei Yisrael, they say that during the time of the day, the sun is going beneath the firmament. In the nighttime, it's going above the firmament. That's why you can't see it because it's above the world. But Chachmei Amot Olam say no. During the day, me'alecha lemata min harkiya goes during the bottom. Uvalayla lemata also on the bottom. So Amar Rebbe says, "V'nidim divrehem idvarenu." 1 second, but maybe it's more mistaber them than us. Why? Shebayom mayanot sonunin. Because during the day, the mayanot in the land they're cold, and in the nighttime they're rotchim. Right? How could it be? So it comes out that if the shemesh is going mitachal rakia during the nighttime, so it's going to be mechamem the mayanot. So that's why it says that you could actually see during the time of alot hashachar, right? Edim olim min hanarot, that there's like steam coming out of the rivers. Right? So it's actually more mistaber like them. So Tanya, we learned in a Braita, Rabbi Natan says, Bimot hachama, during the summer, hachama ma'alech begova shel harkiya, goes on the top of the firmament. That's why everything's hot. And the mayanot are very, very cold. But during the winter time, the chama is going b'shipulei rakia, close to the karka, close to the land, and therefore the entire world is cold, but the mayanot itself, the springs are going to be hot. Another concept, there's 4 different times where the sun is going, 4 different times of the year. Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, Ma'alech Ba'arim. During Nisan, Iyar, and Sivan, it's going in the mountains. In order that it should actually get rid of the snow during the summer months. Tammuz, Av, and Elul, it's going by Yishuv. in order that the perot should actually come, and that's the not the spring, that's the stav, the autumn, right? So Tishri Cheshvan ben Kislev is Malecha Be'amim in the rivers, to dry them up, and then Tevet Shvat and Adar, it's going in the desert, Shelo liyabeshet azreim, in order that it's not going to come and it's not going to go in the Yishuv, right? In order not to dry up the seeds. Okay? Nekuda. Says the two dots. Rabbi Eliezer Omer mispukat, right, and onwards. So it says over here like this. It says even though he could come up to the Azara, we're not going to tell him come up. How could that be? Imagine right now, we just said that if you're going to be from the Azara outside, it's already considered you're far away. Why? Tell him to come inside. So it says the Gemara, well, we're not going to tell him kumail. But Tanya, we learned in the Braita, arel shelomal, when you have a person that does not have, right, that is an arel, that he did not do brit milah, anush karet. He's going to be anush karet. These are the words of Rabbi Eliezer. Amar Abaye comes and he says, derech lechoka latahor, derech lechoka latameh. Says, no, when we learned above that the dichui was if somebody's going to be in a far off place, it's talking about a tahor, somebody that's tahor. Derech lechoka is talking about somebody that's going to be tameh. Okay, that's what it means. So Rav says, no, it's a Tanai, it's a Machloket Tanaim. Why is it Machloket Tanaim? He says the Tanya was learned in a Braita. Rabbi Eliezer says, Ne'emar, it says, right, and it says Richuk Makom by Pesach, and it says Richuk Makom by Maaser Sheni. So Malahalan, just like over there by Maaser Sheni, it says Chutz La'achilato, it's outside of the place where you're allowed to eat it. So to here, it's outside the place you're allowed to eat it, which means outside of Yerushalayim. Maaser Sheni, you have to eat it inside the walls of Yerushalayim. So to here, when it's talking about Rachuk Makom, it's talking about outside Yerushalayim. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Mishum Elazar, he says, no, in the name of Eliezer, he says, no. We have to learn from the Korban Pesach that he says, outside of where you're not allowed to do it, that's Bet HaMikdash. It's not outside of Yerushalayim. It's outside of Bet HaMikdash, because you're not allowed to do the Korban Pesach outside of Bet HaMikdash. So too, you're not allowed to, right? The entire concept is outside of Bet HaMikdash. So, Kamana Zahad de Amar Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Yosef. So who does this go like that? What Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Yosef says, B'tmeim, to do with the concept of Tmeim, Halach achar rova unim ba'azara. We're going after the majority of that. They're going to be in the Azara. Right? What does that mean? We're not going to take the cheshbon, the people that are in the Azara during the time of Shchitat Pesach. So, Keman, who does that go like? It says like Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, Shamar Mishum Rabbi Eliezer. It's like Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, that it says the name of Rabbi Eliezer. Okay? So basically, it just says that anytime that it says Derech Rechoka, we're talking about outside of the Azara Bet HaMikdash, and according to him, only the people that are inside of the Azara, they're considered the Oseh Korban Pesach, but not, right, through them, we're going to be Kovea if the majority are Tmim or not. Okay, the next two dots, and we're just going to finish them till the bottom. Amar Rabbi Yosef says, Yosef lefichach, and therefore, why is there going to be a nikuda, a dot on top of the hay, right over there? He says over here, the Tanya we learned on the right side, the derech rechoka. Why is there a dot on the hay? When I see somewhere far away, it means 2 or 3 days of distance. That he wasn't in the path. Even if you're outside of the Bet HaMikdash, it's already considered you're on the path, and therefore it's already considered a far off place. And we continue on the Mishnah Bezrat Hashem tomorrow.